the RMB, the yuan, China's currency is not used as a global currency, right? People trade in the US dollar, right?
And just try change yuan in a random country and find out.
It's getting easier now, but it's still not like bringing dollars around with you. Yeah. But it's not talking about tourism here. I'm talking about global reserves here, right? So China needs to make people start using the RMB. And the reason is that if they invade Taiwan or they do something that's going to sanction them into oblivion like Russia, they need to make sure that other countries are using their RMB so they can actually bolster their economy. If people aren't using the RMB and then they get sanctioned, they have no money, right? They don't have an economy at that point. Remember, China relies on other countries buying their stuff all the time.
Yeah, I mean, look at North Korea, right? They constantly have to import US dollars and on the black market and stuff.
And sell meth and stuff, right? Yeah. So you have a situation where China needs all the rest of the world to buy their stuff. And if they're not allowed to because of sanctions, then they're done. Yeah. Right? It's absolutely toast. So what was being posited out there was that China just wants de-dollarization to happen. This idea that people stop using the dollar around the world and these other countries led by China, the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, will start using the BRICS currency, which is going to actually just be the RMB, let's be honest, the yuan. China is going to lead them into this new era where people don't rely on the US anymore. And that sounded romantic to people even that didn't even like China.
Yeah, a lot of these people do.
Oh, still people, like in our comments, we'll get a lot of ABP, like America bad at all costs, like Americans saying this.
Yeah.
And they don't even like these countries that they're talking about. They just want America to fail.
They just want de-dollarization, even though they don't realize how that would destroy their lives.
Them poor.
Yeah, exactly. And
let's make my life worse.
Let's make everything worse. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Problem is that China expected the world to start kind of, I think they drank their own Kool-Aid because they put out all this positive economic news all the time and how the economy is always this and that, and the stock market's up and the investors are hot and positive on the China's real estate market rebound, all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And you put enough of that stuff out there, expecting people to actually follow suit, expecting to actually start trading in the RMB.
Yeah.
Problem is it's not happened. No. Even amongst China's think tanks, like state-run think tanks here, have found that pretty much no one wants to use the RMB.
No.
Right. Here's a quote. China's strategies to develop an alternative financial system are defensive rather than offensive. This is Zoe Liu, which is a fellow for China Studies in the Council of Foreign Relations. Liu wrote that Beijing's goal was to minimize any impact of sweeping sanctions from the West in extreme geopolitical scenarios, such as a military conflict over Taiwan. And despite Beijing's determination to boost overseas use of China's currency, fresh survey findings indicate an unwillingness among trade partners to use the yuan. So even countries that are trading with China predominantly don't want to use their own currency.
Yeah, right? Of course.
It remains the biggest obstacle to cross-border trade. About 47.7% of people, of these surveyed people, of these enterprises, said the lack of interest among trading partners to use the yuan was the main hindrance to its proliferation. Nobody wants to do it.
Of course not.
And that's a big problem. That's scaring the crap out of China because that means it's rather a stranglehold on what they can do geopolitically. Yeah. China can't invade Taiwan if they get sanctioned into oblivion. China can't push its power around and start directly funding Russia's war machine.
Its entire economy would collapse if it was properly sanctioned. Correct. Because its entire economy right now anyway is based on exporting goods to the world.
Yes.
So they need that. And if they get sanctioned, they won't be able to do that.
Yes. So here's the issue. The be-all and the end-all of this is that in order for China to actually start being this global dominant power that it's trying to be, this global power that takes over other countries and land and actually projects militarily, it has to make sure that people are not using the dollar and using the RMB instead.
Maybe also don't have a mass murderer on your note.
That too.
A dictator.
I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah. People
that love money they're blinded by greed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's some good news if you're worried about China's overreach in the world.
No, this whole de-dollarization thing that you hear about, it's a fantasy.
Yeah.
Well,
and most economic experts agree with you.
Yeah.
It is a fantasy. I did a whole video on it. If you want to check out my channel, Lau86, it's called BRICS is nonsense or something.
Yeah.
Something about BRICS.
And I agree with you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Seriously, BRICS is not we came up with an acronym for it. I can't remember what it is.
It was something funny. We'll have to write it down next time we come up with it again.
Yeah. It was something.
It'll be slightly different every time.
Yeah.
The original name for ping pong.
Whiff waff. Whiff waff. Oh, fancy a spot of whiff waff, old chap. Chinese water torture is not Chinese.
Interesting, isn't it? Are you married? Do you have children? Do you have a car? Do you have a house? How much money do you make every month? Why are you so fat? Why is your nose so big?
The first thing she says to me is, "你胖了好多." It's like, oh, you got really fat. That's the first thing she says to me. And apparently, there was a massive explosion and he disappeared. And so they think that he flew to the moon because they named one of the craters on the moon after this guy.
Oh,
so
charming.
I think in reality what happened is he just vaporized.
When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind were